We are now live, Stefano.
Welcome to Ed and Stefano Unleashed. Kick back and relax with Ed and Stefano Unleashed. Kick back and relax with Ed and Stefano.
Right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode. So another Saturday, it's the 8th of November, and we've got a properly packed show today. We're going to be starting with some awesome Unraid updates, including the 7.2 release, and then we're going to be diving into some genuinely, I think, concerning security news, a bit of regulatory chaos, and of course, the usual collection of AI nonsense and tech industry nonsense. And also, I found out something this week that I never knew about before concerning Docker and Nginx, reverse proxies, and all of that kind of thing. And I'm going to be sharing that all with you guys. And so we've got Stefano here as normal. So how have you been doing, Stefano?
Really good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. So got back from the United States okay. It was great seeing you last month live. I really enjoyed coming over to Alabama. I actually did a little studio tour of your studio, didn't I, Stefano? And I'm hoping to actually finish editing that this weekend. And so all of you guys, if you want to check that out, you'll be able to see where Stefano does all of his magic. So
I'm kind of excited to see it myself, to be honest, even though I live here.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, we're back doing a remote one today. But I think before we kind of get into everything, I really want to just come into the Unraid updates and start with our home team news. Some excellent updates from Unraid this month. And if you've been holding off from upgrading, I think now is probably the time. 7.2 is now available, has been for, I think, about a week. I have some error coming up on the YouTube studio. I'm going to ignore it. So it's a significant update. We've got RAID Z expansion for CFS pools without needing to actually fully rebuild your pool. So that's a really nice new feature. The web UI has got a complete overhaul and now has generally responsive on mobile devices and tablets. So you can actually manage your server from your phone without wanting to actually throw it at the wall. So that's a pretty cool new thing. Also, we've got built-in API now. So that's going to massively help with plugins and automation and that kind of thing. And also support for NTFS, XT4, XT3 and 2, I think, as well, and exFAT as array file system. So you can drop those drives in and actually be able to import them into your array. So if you've got a bunch of, say, old exFAT drives with photos on, you could actually pop them into your array, add a parity drive, and they'll all have parity protection on those old drives. So personally, I think that's pretty cool.
Very
what are your thoughts on that, Stefano? Yeah,
I think it's very cool. It's crazy that it just like works like that. Have you tried it yet yourself?
I have, yeah. It's pretty cool. One thing you have to kind of watch, in my opinion, is don't go and like put them into an existing array and then just start up the array, because it will format them. So what you have to do, you have to break the array first, make a new configuration, tell it to kind of keep the configuration exactly the same, then put the drives in, and then it will rebuild the parity as if it's a fresh build of parity. But if you put it in and the parity is already good and you add 2 new drives, it's thinking, hey, I've got these 2 new drives, he wants to expand his array, so let's wipe them clean and add them to the array. So you want to have no parity when you add them if you're adding them to an existing array. So I did mention that in a recent video, which you can check out on the Uncar Show, everyone, where I do take a look at 7.2. Also, what you mentioned, I forgot to mention in my video, actually, having OIDC support for logging in. So I think that's pretty cool. So you can log in with your Unraid.net account and other OIDC providers into your Unraid server, rather than just having to use your username and password. So I think that's a pretty cool quality of life improvement.
Not only that, but like it just kind of helps bring it like I see potential for business use cases now, just with that little addition, because one of Unraid's problems is like, how does it break into the business user space?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of businesses like having OIDC for multiple users, especially their administrators. So it's a nice addition, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Also, there's a new account app that's gone live, I think just a couple of days ago. It's worth having a look. Links will be in the show notes, hopefully after this has gone live and we edit it. But just go across onto the Unraid website and you'll be able to check it out there. It's in the blog post there about that. And in other news, there is going to be our annual Cyber Weekend sale, and it's going to be happening from the 28th of November to the 1st of December. This is our biggest sale of the year. I can't really say what's going to be there, but check out, sign up to the newsletter and get, details about that there. So as well, just in time.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say, we know for sure that there's going to be sales on the Unleash license.
Yeah.
Right? And starter licenses and upgrades.
Yeah, there is something else as well that you may be getting with that, but I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to say, so I'm going to keep quiet. But yeah, so there's some pretty cool things.
Was it a free picture of you with every purchase of a license?
It is, yeah. How did you know?
I read the notes.
Oh, right, okay.
Signed underwear?
Oh no, we're not going that.
No, I mean like Unraid sells underwear, and then you sign it, send it off. Not like OnlyFans.
Well, we were joking once, like at a recent offsite actually, about having some cool merch. Yeah, so everyone knows the slogan for Unraid is like "Unleash your hardware." So how about putting that on the set of some boxer shorts? Hey, unleash your hardware.
Yeah, 100% do that.
Anyway, talking about merch, just in time for the festive season, we've got some new holiday jumpers, and I am going to try and actually show you them. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Now, hopefully you guys can see that.
It's so ugly. I love it.
So the self-hosting, this is the season to self-host. You've got to have Christmas jumpers. It's awesome. Nothing says I self-host quite like a Christmas jumper with tech references my relatives will never understand. So that's what I like about it.
True.
And other ones as well. Come all ye self-hosters, but my favorite, I love this one, caching through the snow. I just really think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very clever.
I really like that. So that's going to be the one I'm going to be wearing on Christmas Day for sure. And I'll definitely be having my mum asking me, Ed, what the hell does that mean? So anyway, I'll tell her to come watch this episode. Right, let me stop sharing the screen for the moment.
I imagine you kind of, have you watched the movie Limitless?
I have, but a long time ago, so I couldn't really tell you probably what.
Okay, it's fine. So like there's a scene in there where he's trying to describe his book. This is before he starts taking those magic pills. He's describing his book to like just a couple of guys at the bar, and he's just like blah blah, like just going on and on about the book. I imagine you doing that with your significant others at your family Christmas party, and everyone just kind of like watching you talk about caching, and they still have just no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can explain it to them, and afterwards, like they're all nodding, going, "Oh, right," and you go, "So you understand that, yeah?" And they go, "Yeah," and you go,
"Yeah."
Well, what did I just say? Explain back to me. And they go, "Oh, well, I wasn't really listening." Yeah, I knew it. You weren't.
This is why you never love you.
Right. Excuse me, everyone. I just want to check the stream is working correctly, because there'd be nothing worse than us going
It
through
looks like
this
it's working.
and, okay,
Actually,
great.
I think so we have Marcus in the shower showering himself while watching us.
Hi,
And
Marcus.
Tyson is here.
How you doing? I know Marcus had like his cat was injured and is having an operation this Tuesday. So unfortunately, his cat, I believe, was very horribly shot and injured its leg and has to have its leg amputated. So from all of us here, Marcus, you know, we wish you and your family all the best, and Leo the cat a speedy recovery. Okay, so anyway, I was saying that I discovered something recently that's kind of bugged me for years, to be honest. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever been using things like Swag as a reverse proxy, or for those of you who use various containers that speak to other containers. Now, I'm not going to actually say what those containers might be, but sometimes you have a container that might send something to another container that may download something, and you have to put into that container either the IP address and port number of the container that does that, or the actual name of the container if you're using a custom Docker network. So custom Docker networks, for those people who don't know, by default, we use like a bridge network, which just bridges the host network, and you can't, you know, one container can't actually ping the name of the other container with that, but you can make a custom bridge whereby Docker will be able to resolve the name. So if you have a container called MariaDB, you know, the container can ping MariaDB. You could put in just MariaDB, the name of the container, and it will be able to connect to the database. But here's where it gets kind of pretty crazy, I think. And this is something I never knew before. And I always wondered why this happened, but never bothered to check the following. Sorry, I'm waffling a bit here, Stefano, but bear with me, okay? So say you've got Swag, you have a config file, and Swag is made basically to resolve the names. So you're reverse proxying, say, Nextcloud, for instance, and it's got the name of the container, Nextcloud. But if you've got your container and it has a capital letter anywhere in it, say Nextcloud with a capital N, or MariaDB, and you've got, you know, capital M, or any of your other containers you might use for media, and it's got a capital letter in it. Well, what Nginx will do is it basically normalizes it and puts it all lowercase. So Docker is case sensitive, but Nginx will normalize things to be lowercase. And that's why sometimes when you put in a container name on some, you know, I've noticed on some systems it doesn't work, and that's because people using a capital letter in their Docker containers. And then, you know, some containers will have an Nginx like front end, and you put in the name of the container you want to connect to, thinking you can use the custom Docker bridge and use names to resolve, and you think, oh, it doesn't work. That's really weird. But it's probably because it's actually changing it to lowercase, and that's why it doesn't work. But I thought it's really interesting.
I never would have guessed.
That's really bugged me for ages. So, Swag's built around Nginx, so that's why, you know, sometimes people find it doesn't work because they capitalize the beginning of their containers because it looks nicer to have that. Then they edit their config file, put a capital then, and then it doesn't work, and they end up having to put the IP address and port number instead. But yeah, anyway, so I just thought I'd let everyone know my little discovery this week. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad I always try to stick with lowercase everything, like out of habit.
Me too.
Maybe I mean, that's how we were taught to use computers back in, I don't know, 15 years ago, to like, oh, just lowercase everything. And then if you absolutely have to have two words, just capitalize the first letter of the next word.
Yeah.
So I've just always naturally done lowercase.
Me too, exactly. You know, me too. Like, you know, I always had my kind of containers always better talk to each other through name resolution, and then I'd have friends and they'd go, Ed, can you lend us a hand? Like, this isn't working. And I'd type the name of the container in. I'd just literally just copy and paste it out of the web UI of the Docker template, paste it in, and it's not working. I'm thinking, this is really weird. Like, what is the problem with your system that this doesn't work? It works fine on mine, but it was just the name. So yeah, I thought I don't know if anyone in chat has had that type of issue ever before.
It looks like maybe.
Chat. Right. Anyway, moving on to our various kind of tech news we have this month. The sources we've gathered, I think, really show the technology landscape is being fundamentally redefined. I think we're kind of witnessing the contract between us and our devices being rewritten like in real time. It's a real huge expansion of the technical frontier, AI, new custom hardware. Right alongside that, we've got these urgent legal and corporate attempts to, in my opinion, establish control. The central theme of all our source material today is that as tech gets more powerful and more intimate, who actually gets to set the rules? So that's the kind of theme of our stories today, I think, Stefano. But before that, I know we've got a story that you're interested in, Stefano, being about Red Hat. Is recently, have you seen the Red Hat breach? Because it's pretty bad. I think it was a cybercrime group. Were they called Crimson Collective?
Yes.
Yeah, so they managed to breach Red Hat's consulting GitLab instance and exfiltrate, I think it was 570 gigabytes of compressed data. Let me see if I can share my screen yet again.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, like, some of the like customers that were affected were Bank of America, IBM, and the U.S. Navy. I'm surprised it just stops at the U.S. Navy, because a lot of the Department of Defense agencies or branches of the military very heavily use Red Hat for their Linux infrastructure. So it's probably more than just the U.S. Navy, but who knows?
Yeah, and it's not just source code either, is it? It's sensitive customer information like infrastructure configuration, security assessments, and authentication tokens. I think for about 800 different organizations.
Yeah, the authentication tokens, I think, worries me the most.
Yeah. But yeah, I was pretty surprised to hear about that. In fact, this is actually a little bit old news. It was at the beginning of October, but we didn't speak about it in the last podcast, so we thought we would mention it here. But
yeah, what's interesting is, like, so if you like Red Hat's actual page there, it says that it only affects consulting companies. But then, if you from other sources directly name, Bank of America, IBM, and U.S. Navy, it seems a little odd to me that the U.S. Navy would be consulting for Red Hat. I could understand maybe IBM. I don't really understand Bank of America. But yeah, it says consulting customers. If you are a Red Hat consulting customer or analysis is ongoing or whatever it says right there in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then what's even more fun is that OpenShift AI, there's another vulnerability there that was also just announced previously. So it's like, double whammy for Red Hat right there. 570 gigs of compressed data was stolen from 28,000 repositories. And then they had that other CVE there with their OpenShift AI, where you could, so like, let's say a non-privileged user was accessing Jupyter or something like that through their non-privileged account, they could escalate and then gain access to the cluster, the OpenShift AI cluster. And I guess if you've escalated your privilege.
What is OpenShift for everyone listening, including
you? I honestly don't know, because I haven't read Red Hat's marketing material. I think it's like maybe like a container management platform
Right.
and like an application management platform. But don't quote me on that. I'm not a Red Hat. Like if there are other products they offer, I'm just not familiar with them, and I think Red Hat does a very poor job of like just keeping it simple and just telling you what OpenShift is or whatever. So you have to like read an entire book just to figure it out. And I'm like, nah, I don't got time for that.
Yeah. I've really got a feeling that this month I'm going to be on my soapbox quite a lot during this episode. So I apologize to you, Stefano, and to everyone listening and watching this podcast. But speaking of privacy nightmares, let's talk about Microsoft's latest bit of nonsense. So you've heard about Microsoft rolling out AI-driven facial recognition in OneDrive, Stefano, yeah?
I have heard about it, and I have no idea what that implies.
Right. Okay. So Microsoft have rolling out. Let me again share my screen, guys. So preview users, as it says here, you can see, have noticed that OneDrive's AI-driven face recognition setting is opt-out and can only be turned off 3 times a year. So, you know, because nothing says you control your data quite like Microsoft telling you you can only change your mind about facial recognition 3 times annually. You know, that's one less than the seasons in case you're counting. But anyway, so what it is the feature is enabled by default, and it just scans all of the photographs with AI and is meant to use biometrics to work out who's who in all of your photographs that you upload. Now, Microsoft hasn't explained the weird limitation about you can only change this 3 times a year. Some people reckon it might be about deleting biometric data is expensive, like especially over here in Europe with GDPR. I think when you say you don't want the biometric data anymore, it has to be deleted. And some people are saying Microsoft thinks that's going to be expensive. And so that's why they're only allowing you to opt out 3 times a year.
So Microsoft spent all the money developing the software, and now they're worried about it being too expensive to delete all of the biometric data. So what if you just did not do that, and then you wouldn't spend any money or worry about losing any money?
Yeah.
I guess that makes too much sense.
But, you know, what I don't like about it is it's opt out and not opt in. So everyone, and also, you know, think about OneDrive. It's so pushed by Microsoft. Like, you know, do you want OneDrive? You know, a friend of mine, you know, called me last week and said, "Oh, I've got loads of stuff on my desktop that that I don't know where it's come from." And they said, you know, can you have a look? And I said, yeah, no problem. So I had a look, and what it was is they were running Windows 10 and their computer wouldn't run Windows 11. So you can actually opt into extended support with Windows 10 to keep you going to October next year, October 2026, I think 13th of October. But you do, but to enable that
every 3 years or every three times a year.
It wouldn't surprise me, but anyway, you can opt into this extended support, so you still get updates for Windows 10 for another year. So, you know, a lot of people are doing that, and so, you know, I told my friend, well, you can do that, but you do have to log in with a Microsoft account. If you don't do that, you basically can't enable it. So you have to log in with a Microsoft account, and so he logged in with his Microsoft account, and it somehow logged him into his OneDrive, and he ended up having loads of stuff from his desktop synced from when he had OneDrive before, and that's where it came from. But anyway, that was a bit of a side tangent to this, but you know, I think this is a real big kind of privacy issue, because when you're collecting biometric information about people, you know, what about kind of government warrants searching for specific faces across everyone's photo libraries? So it's not just about whether you want Microsoft scanning your holiday photos and stuff. It's about, who else is going to get access to this data. Those are the type of things that worry me. So
do you ever go ahead, finish what you were going to say.
So I was saying, self-hosting, don't use OneDrive, use Nextcloud, and use image, local AI on your own server. That will scan your photos. It will group, group people, and you'll be able to find all the pictures of your kids and your mum. Huh?
Said for now it won't until they get bought out or sell to private equity or something.
Yeah. Well, we're not even going to entertain that idea that's going to happen. Not with image. No.
Everything goes bad. Everything.
So talking about everything going bad, that's an excellent segue to our next.
Let's back up real quick.
Sure.
So you know how basically everybody has Facebook or social media? There are some times where I personally feel like I'm tired of bringing up awareness and kind of like fighting these ideas of, AI just putting just going through all of your pictures or whatever it is, right? Just all this data collection. Do you ever just like feel exhausted? Because it feels like the vast majority of the world just doesn't care. And it's like, I kind of feel like if you don't care enough, then why should I continue to raise awareness and kind of fight the good fight? You ever feel like that?
I feel like that all the time, to be honest. So many people, all of us watching this show, we all know the score, but, trying to explain to, the normies on the street, they just really don't care. They would rather have all of their data. They just don't understand. Like I was saying to someone the other day, about ChatGPT. I was saying, why do you think it's free? Like, why do you think there's this free thing? I said they're just collecting so much data about human beings and how they talk. All of the things that people put into ChatGPT. I think there was recently, it was something like 1 million people on ChatGPT were talking about unaliving themselves. I'm not sure the time period. I think it was a week. It was a short period of time, but all of the things that people say to AI that they would never say to anyone else, because they feel safe. And it's like, oh, that's such a good idea. Stefano, you're so clever. How did you think about that? I love that idea. And they get, they get into this kind of mindset where they feel, very happy talking to it. And all of this data, is just being collected and it's being trained on. All of the data, a lot of people, I think, I kind of mentioned this to friends and family. If you think about the amount of data that's collected by social media, and then you kind of analyze that with AI and all of the chats as well. Say you wanted to invest in something, you could easily see, potential markers of crazes that might be coming in from, kind of kids and teenagers and stuff. Then you buy the shares in that company. So you're front running it basically. You're because about the company really before anyone else does due to kind of analytics and AI. So you can massively invest into those companies. And as you see the craze is kind of going or something and like things are moving on to everything else, you basically dump all your shares before they crash down and the market goes. So all of this data, it's extremely valuable just from that point of view. So
yeah. Well, another argument that really kills me too is like, so like let's say you buy like a router or a firewall or something and it's from China. So many people are very quick to be like, oh, you shouldn't use that product because it's, from China and China's going to collect all this data and all this stuff. It's like, why do you care about that so much when you so willingly give over your data to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to I guess we should just say Meta, I guess, really.
Yeah.
But like you're just freely giving all this data over, but because you buy a piece of hardware that's made in China, suddenly That's where you put your foot down.
Yeah, but
it's okay when corporations collect your data and sell it.
I'm not that interesting, so I don't care if they know about me. You know.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
You know, I'm not doing anything wrong, so why do I care as well? You know, and no one's going to want to hack me. I'm just no one. You know, no one cares. That's what you hear.
And you know,
all the
honestly,
time.
like, and that's the funny part. It's like, you're right. No one will want to hack you, but at least here in the United States, you know, we have a credit score system. They're going to totally want access to whatever potential money you have. I think my internet's going down, Ed.
Yeah, you are looking very 1980s VHS cassette at the moment.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm like half tempted to switch networks really quickly to see if that will help. I just did a speed test while we were talking, and I'm getting like kilobits per second, which is crazy.
I just want to ask chat, you know, is the live stream still showing properly? It's just I haven't seen anything come up in chat for a little while.
I think the live stream is showing up properly, just from what I'm looking at. I see that my video feed is just really poor. Also, ads are enabled, and also the title of the video is old.
Have you just switched network now?
I haven't. I want to,
because you've just literally your picture's gone perfect again. You know, from my
end I think it's like it seems to be up and down.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's getting pixelated.
So anyway,
it literally take 2 seconds. I can do it live.
Okay, let's let Stefano switch live and like see if it actually. I think this might go terribly wrong, Stefano, but I'm going to let you try and do it. So anyway, guys, the next news is all about kind of regulation, and there's a massive Supreme Court case in the US coming up involving ISPs and Sony Music. Now, I'm not going to talk about it till Stefano gets back, but it's got massive implications, I think, for the whole of the internet as a whole. So it's a really important test case, and I hope Sony lose. But anyway, let's wait for Stefano to come back. Oh, there we are. He's definitely dropped off now because the stream has gone from there. Oh, Marcus, you are an OpenShift administrator, saying in chat here. Oh, I'm just letting him back in.
I'm back, baby.
Here he is. You're still a bit pixelated, Stefano.
Yeah, actually, I realized since I cleaned up my network rack, I can't switch internet providers that easily.
All right.
So I just went back to
I reckon you're probably just downloading like the latest update from Escape from Tarkov at the same time, and it's taking all the bandwidth. That's what it is, guys. You know, he's going to be playing that when he's finished on his fancy 4090.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, talking of networks, I actually switched from pfSense to OpenSense. I think it was not this week, but last week. I had like pfSense, there was an update. I thought I'm going to do an update. And normally I always do a backup before I do an update. It was getting late and I just couldn't be bothered. And the update looked like it was okay. It rebooted and wouldn't boot into pfSense. And the thing that really annoyed me is, you know, pfSense runs off ZFS. Why doesn't it make a snapshot before it backs up? The data set that was meant to hold the config, it was just totally empty. And I just thought, it's not really cool. And I kind of feel that pfSense are moving further and further away from, you know, the community kind of open source version. And you know, even to download it, you have to set up an account now. With
yeah, big surprise
with
there.
pfSense,
I feel
and
like
I thought I'm going OpenSense. So
it feels
and
like
I'm pretty happy with it.
Every company is just doing whatever they can to just destroy themselves. And I don't understand this whole. So, okay, there's two things I don't understand. One, we're like entering the AI apocalypse, kind of like how we had the adpocalypse before. We have the AI apocalypse. So everything has to have AI, whether it's useful or not. It's kind of like like why does OneDrive need AI? Well, it doesn't for us. It's just something that Microsoft is doing to collect data for God knows what reason. But I mean, it's just like it's silly. Like, oh, your calculator, it has AI. Why does my calculator have AI? Why does everything have to AI? It's the same thing with ads.
Yep, I'm looking forward to when the AI bubble bursts. Because, like, you know, it's pretty crazy. But anyway,
unfortunately, like even if the AI bubble does bust, like I still think companies are going to try and push AI in every facet of what. So this is an interesting statistic, and I don't know how true this is or how accurate it is. But have you ever heard of Gartner? They're like this huge company that works with other huge companies.
What are they called? Sorry,
Gartner.
Gartner. I don't think I have. No.
Let me put it in chat just so like everyone can read it. Pretty sure this is how you spell it. Pretty sure. So anyway, I think they had a study where like every company that they've ever talked to or worked with or have a relationship with who has implemented AI, 30% of all companies have successfully implemented AI to some degree in their workflows or whatever it might be. Everyone else has failed and wasted money. And we're not talking about just like, you know, thousands of dollars. We're talking about potentially billions of dollars.
Anyway, I really want to move on and talk about this because this is something that is, I think, quite a worrying thing. So Cox Communications have a Supreme Court case on ISP copyright liability. So the US Supreme Court is about to hear a case that could fundamentally pretty much change how much responsibility ISPs have for copyright infringement by their users. So this goes back, in fact, over a decade to 2013, 2014. Sony basically sued Cox for music downloads, people downloading, I don't know what they're using then, things like probably Napster and things like that. And they basically said,
LimeWire.
They basically said, you're not kind of terminating people's internet connections for downloading. So you need to pay us damages of 1 billion. And it got to court, I think, in 2018. These things, I didn't realize how long they take to go through court. They take absolutely ages to go through court. So they basically were told, you know, $1 billion verdict. They appealed about it. And it was kind of said, well, you're going to have to pay something. And that amount wasn't ever agreed on as to how much it was going to be. And then Cox tried to say, we don't think we should have to pay anything. And that was overturned. They said, no, you should have to pay something. And now the court case is on the 1st of December. And basically the core issue is whether an ISP is liable just by knowing about the infringement, or they have to actively encourage it, because it was always, you have to actively encourage it was a thing before. But a ruling in favor of Sony could force ISPs basically to monitor user activity, and basically they'll be our copyright police, and potentially terminating connections based on accusations alone. So think about that. University dormitories, you know, you're an owner of a small coffee shop and you have, you know, all of these things can get you cut off. And also what some people haven't thought about maybe, and I was thinking about this over the last few days when prepping for this podcast, is VPNs. Okay, so if this goes through, there are loads of other court cases stacked up on the back of this. So if Sony basically win this case, Cox will be the first ISP that will be hit with huge fines, and then all of them will. And then they're going to basically pass those costs on to us. So internet will go up a lot, and the internet will lose its neutrality. But also, then the VPNs, VPNs, a lot of people use it for, stopping their ISP knowing what they're downloading. And so then people like Sony, and when these court cases have been gone through and set a precedent, then they're going to be able to turn around to a VPN and say, hey, you know about this, and so you're going to have to terminate accounts. And in the end, it's going to be too expensive for VPNs to run. I feel that this can be used as an attack on VPNs, because think of the backlash there would be if governments and things said, like, we're going to ban VPNs. They were talking about it in the UK with our Online Safety Act.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a backdoor way of doing it. And I just think, I really need a tinfoil hat to wear at the moment. But I always think these stories, they don't happen. We always think that stories happen in total isolation. We hear one thing on the news, that's that. We hear something else. But sometimes they're not in isolation. It's just funny, isn't it? Like, all of this goes back to 2014. And now, as soon as, like, my country has brought in these rules, so you have to be kind of 18 to go on certain websites and certain social media things, and you have to use facial recognition to be able to do that. You can use a thing and it scans your face, and an AI will work out, do you look like you're over 18? So collecting biometric data, the way around it is using a VPN, so you can go to the website a different way. But this can be used to basically kill VPNs, commercial VPNs. But it won't make the VPN protocol illegal. So companies can still use VPNs point to point. But what it could do is it can make VPNs so, they're going to be using an ISP to exit their traffic. So if this wins, I would say VPNs might become a thing of the past. What are your thoughts, Stefano? Do you agree with my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory?
I think yeah. I mean, yeah, overall, I think I would agree. And honestly, so earlier you said that, internet's going to get more expensive. And personally, I already think internet's already there. So in the United States anyway, so AT&T, they just did this. Okay. So I was paying $60 a month for 300 megabit per second, which is, pretty expensive, I would say. It's $60 for 300 megabits. And so what they did is they're like, oh, hey, we don't offer 300 megabits anymore, but for just $5 more, you can have 500 megabits, which is their new lowest tier. Well, I don't want 500, and I don't want to pay $5 more. In fact, I think I should be able to pay for 100 megabit per second, but they don't offer it. And so what makes it more egregious is if I wanted to, so the government has a program where ISPs are legally obligated to offer cheaper speeds and programs. Now, in order to do that, I have to prove that I'm essentially poor, right? I don't make enough money to afford, or I don't make enough money, so therefore they should provide me a cheaper service. And I don't see like why that's a thing. Like, that seems so unfair. Like, I should be able to just have cheaper options available to me, but I can't. And so I think, like, if this definitely kicks off, you're right. They're going to pass the costs off to customers. It'll be even more expensive. And, there are some days, Ed, where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to cancel my home internet altogether because it's getting egregiously expensive. And like, if you look at like a mobile carrier like Verizon or AT&T, so just for 2 lines, we used to pay $183 for 2 lines, man. That's so expensive. And for what? So we can use the internet, so we can call and text. So we finally switched to a different provider. Now it's $50 a month for both of us, which is significantly cheaper. But how long before that becomes more expensive? Or how long before this, oh, I was downloading, maybe I wasn't downloading, maybe it was like at a coffee shop like you said. And now, because somebody else was downloading data, my plan's gonna be more expensive because Sony was like, oh, we're suing, your new provider. And that's gonna increase costs for you, right? Like that's I think that's like perfect. Like what you said was perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't
Well,
think it should be the job of the ISPs to do it. And I think
no.
Sony needs to just stop trying to. They probably waste more money trying to fight copyright infringement. And like in some cases, I totally understand. Like, yeah, somebody totally shared a YouTube video, or I'm sorry, a movie over YouTube or whatever. Totally get it. But how much money are they realistically losing to piracy?
Yeah. And
I think it's so insignificant that it doesn't really matter.
And also, all of this data goes back to 2013, 2014. There weren't even streaming services like Spotify then. So, who pirates music nowadays? No one, because the streaming services for music are really good. But the streaming services for video are getting worse and worse because you have to have about 100 different streaming services to watch everything you want. But I think as well, the internet nowadays is pretty much an essential utility for a lot of people. In 2014, it wasn't. So, you can cut someone off now, and it can really have serious repercussions for people. You
Yeah.
need it. Submitting tax returns, everything you have to do online nowadays. It's like, oh, go on online and do this. Go on, you cut someone off. You could really be affecting their life in a serious way. And that could be just because one of your kids' friends came over and downloaded, some copyrighted material, and it was nothing to do with you. I'm sure there would be some kind of strike system, like, it's not going to be, just one thing, but,
Hear me out. They have a strike system, but it's handled by AI. And when you go to fight back about that copyright strike, you don't talk to a person, you talk to another AI who analyzes everything, and it decides on your behalf whether you're right or wrong. And if it decides that you're wrong, then you have to submit another request for a complaint or whatever to fight it. But unfortunately, you have to get in queue to talk to a person, and it could take months. And the entire time, you have no ISP. Wait a minute, that sounds awfully familiar, kind of like YouTube.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to rant on about YouTube again, and my poor little video that was banned for no good reason.
But you did hear about all those channels that just recently got banned, right?
No,
off YouTube?
No.
I think this just happened like yesterday. Like 300
Really?
channels
Oh
were banned
God.
off YouTube.
Are you serious?
Let's see. YouTube ban 300, and by AI, which makes it worse. Or the algorithm.
It's got to be accurate. I've got a love-hate relationship with AI. I'll tell you, I do love AI and I hate it at the same time. It reminds me of an old girlfriend I had.
It would be I think what makes AI great is that it's a useful tool. The problem is companies are just throwing AI at the wall to see what sticks, and then they're just like, they're not taking the time to actually do it correctly. It's more like a break fix thing. Hey, we did this thing. Oh, it broke these things. All right, we'll fix it. Now it broke these things. Like they're just rushing these things out the door to try and make money.
And also, I think with AI now, it's got to a point where the kind of algorithms can't be improved much more, and the AI arms race is now coming down to infrastructure and hardware. And the problem is then the best models is only certain, kind of companies and stakeholders that can actually compete, and that's the kind of worrying thing. But I'll move on to that later on a different story, to be honest. But did you manage to find out about the 300 people banned off YouTube channels?
I did Google it, and it looks like that did happen yesterday. But I'm having trouble finding something that lines up with what I thought. The first thing that came up was from some company, but this one says like YouTube bans multiple channels over link to unknown accounts, which isn't what what I've been reading. So maybe this is something different. And have you heard of vidIQ, right? Do you use vidIQ for your YouTube channel?
I used to.
Yeah, so
but,
vidIQ. Okay. Well, anyway, I guess they were like somehow involved in this. I haven't really read this, but anyway, whatever the case, it seems to be that AI is driving the ban on YouTube, and it's just, I don't know, man.
You know, like when my video got banned, it was banned within under an hour of being up, and the video I think was something like 34 minutes long, and I appealed the ban, and then within half an hour the appeal was like, oh no, your appeal is not successful. And I'm thinking, well, obviously no human looked at it, because I got the result of the appeal in less time than the video runtime is. So, but one good thing is Linus actually spoke about it on the WAN show, and I was very happy that he spoke about that and my video being for that. I thought, yeah, thank you, Linus. I love you. So
nice.
That was
awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah.
So Eric in chat says, you know, companies will spend millions to save $1, which is 100% true.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to Sony, what they're doing.
What my grandma used to say to my granddad, because my granddad was a real kind of miser. Like he would like turn the TV off when going out of the sitting room, and if you kind of didn't turn the light off for a moment, and then he'd kind of waste money on kind of like buying something ridiculous out the back of this magazine we used to have called the Reader's Digest. I don't know if you ever had that in the US, but they had little adverts. You could buy kind of little model cars for about £100, which in the kind of 1990s was a lot of money. And my grandma always used to say, you're penny wise and pound foolish. So an American translation would be you're cent wise and dollar foolish. And I think, like, you know what chat was saying about companies.
So you got to save those cents, or those pence. I'm sorry, you got to save those pence on electricity, so you can take that pence that you saved and put it towards your model car.
That's very true. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next story. I'm going to share my screen again.
Oh, wait. Can I interrupt you one more time?
Yeah, sure.
To kind of talk about ads. So you heard about the Samsung refrigerator having ads on it, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm surprised it took this long. I've known this would be a thing for a long time, and they finally started rolling it out. And it's like, what took you guys so long?
Yeah, like,
I want to know what I want to know what the common man thinks. I need to talk to a common person and see what they think.
Oh, come on, no one must like it. You know, the only time someone would like it is if they could buy the refrigerator for a little bit less and have some adverts on there. Then they'll go, okay, I'm happy for that. But what they don't realize is, you know, the company would just say, oh, this is normally $1,500, but you can buy the ad-supported one for $1,300 and save the money. But, you know, it's like a fake price drop. You know, they just make the price higher to drop it. You know, that's what they'll be doing with Black Friday.
I agree with you.
Look at Amazon now. Honestly, look at the Amazon prices now before Black Friday, and you will probably find they will go up just before Black Friday. Then they'll drop them down to this price and go, hey, you know, was this and now is this.
Yeah, and speaking of Amazon, everyone that shops on Amazon, make sure you go to Camel. This is not an endorsement, by the way. Unraid doesn't support this, endorse this, but a good price tracker is camel.com. I use them all the time personally for any of my Amazon shopping. But so Ed, you're saying, you know, Amazon, nobody likes it. What?
I was going to say, talking about Amazon, have you heard that Amazon is suing Perplexity for AI agents that do shopping on Amazon, and they're kind of making a big fuss about it? And trying to
I love
sue them
using
for
AI to shop. AI is really good at shopping.
Well, Amazon doesn't like you doing it, so don't do it, Stefano. Okay.
So you mentioned like nobody's gonna like ads, right? On their refrigerators and things, right? If nobody likes ads, then how come so many people are willing to pay for service like Hulu that has ads, or to pay for television that has ads?
Because they don't have an alternative.
That is true. That is definitely true. But it's like, I think the convenience factor of just like, well, I just won't pay for television is so great that that's why they put up with it. But it's like, it's unfair, man. It really is unfair because your refrigerator shouldn't display ads to you just so you can save some extra money. All that means to me is that they could make the product cheaper, but they're trying to offset any cost where possible with advertisements, and they're preying upon people who have no option to opt out.
Right, I'm going to show you something, Stefano, because about ads and opting out of ads. Are you using Brave browser yet?
No, I'm not using Brave browser.
You promised me you were going to try. When I came and saw you in the States, you promised me you were going to try Brave. Yes, you did. And I remember very well.
That doesn't sound like something I would say.
Yeah. You said you like Firefox.
Look, it's just a matter of time before Brave browser gets bought out and becomes enshittified like everything else.
Until that, right, I'm going to show you.
I'm just not going to use it. I don't have to worry about it.
Right. When I shared my screen earlier about, for instance, OneDrive's AI recognition, I'm going to show you that same page on Chrome. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again.
Stop using Chrome.
So, yeah, but this is like because it's got no, has no ad block in it. But so.
Okay. Well, everyone that jumped ship to Chrome, I blame all of you people for giving us worse internet, and you should all feel bad.
Look at all that. Yeah. Loads of ads in it, like War Thunder. Look how far I have to scroll down before I see this bit here, yeah, of these things. And so now I'm going to actually stop this, and I'm going to share my Brave browser. So I've got so many windows open. I'm going to go back to, so there's the same page in Brave. Okay, no War Thunder. We've got this right at the top, everything stripped out. So, if you don't like ads, Brave browser is a great tool to use, in my opinion. So
that's actually pretty neat. It's funny because when you brought it up the first time, like I've grown up with ads, so like I have blinders, right? So when the ads come on, like I feel like I've just gone blind. But normally what I would do for like a website like this, if it was overwhelming, I would just close it and never go back. Like whatever information is there is just not important enough for me to see.
But as well, if you go, we've all seen like, SpeedTest, no ads at the side. It's lovely, But yeah.
And everyone should stop using SpeedTest, by the way, because your ISP is totally using quality of service to make sure that you have the highest possible connection to speedtest.net. Just so everyone knows.
Yeah. How come that doesn't surprise me, Stefano?
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole 4G, 5G argument.
Anyway, don't get me talking about that. Yeah, what do they call it?
It's not real. 5G is not real.
5GE, which is basically 4G LTE, and they just brand it. I know, like it's crazy, right? As well, I recently got a new phone, and I got an iPhone. I still got my graphene phone, and I'm using kind of two phones. So I've got my graphene one, and I've got this iPhone one here. And the iPhone, it had terrible. It's got really terrible cell reception compared to the Google phone. And then I found out that in Android, they changed it so you have like 5 bars, and Apple you have 4. And I think they can make it so, in Android, it kind of looks like you've got a better signal than you really do. And anyhow, this phone kind of drops the signal quite a lot. But what I found out, and I'm going to share something with you guys. If you give me one moment. Okay, let me. Excuse me, viewers. So
I'm just going to say real quick while you do that, on iPhone, if you don't have full bars, you basically don't have coverage from my experience.
Yeah. But what you can do on iPhone, dial *3001 #12345 #. That gets you into a special menu, and you'll be able to see the proper signal strength. 50 dB is a really good signal. Anything under 120, you basically have the, it will just drop the call pretty much, definitely. So
that's so cool.
I did try actually saving this as a contact in the iPhone, and then clicking dial. Then it goes, your number can't be completed as dial. But if you type it in, it works. Don't ask me why. And on Android, if you want to check the same, go to settings, about phone, and SIM status, and you can see the real. You can see the real actual cell reception you're getting. So it's quite good to do. If you're thinking about moving house, you go and look at the house you're viewing, type that into your phone, or go onto Android and look at the SIM status, and you'll be able to see the actual real cell reception you'll get in that place. And the lower the number, the better. The higher, the closer to 110, 120, you're going to have terrible reception. And
so I kind of do that with, like, when I look at a neighborhood, I'm like, I also look to see what ISPs are available in that neighborhood before committing. So it's gonna be kind of funny to add this to my my thing. I can show I'm willing to show my my output from my phone for that what it looks like, what that dashboard looks like. But you have to change the screens.
I do. Like, what's going on here? Okay. I was pressing the unshare button, and I'm not sharing my
unshare
my browser.
Is that a new Unraid product?
Yeah. New unshare 7.2. All right. There we are, Stefano. So
okay. I don't know if this is going to focus right, but I'll try. Oop. So that's what it looks like.
Yeah. So that's iPhone.
I think that's pretty cool.
One?
Yeah, it's iPhone. I've blurred out my number and other identifiable things for my safety. I can't trust you people.
No. I know your phone number, Stefano.
Which one? I have two.
The one I put on screen and sharing with everyone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway.
Yep, that's mine.
Went off on a little bit of a tangent there. I'm trying to stick to our news topics. So I'm going to move on to Australia. I'm going to move on to Australia for all of our Australian listeners who might be out there. So the next one is an interesting from a regulatory perspective, because starting from December the 10th, Australia is bringing in one of the world's strictest social media age bans. So platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube as well, they all must take reasonable steps to prevent anyone under 16 from accessing their services. Let me again share my screen. Okay, hang on.
So, we were talking about how the internet's a utility. I didn't even think about this, but Eric brought up a good point in chat. You even need internet to keep your cars up to date, and also your appliances. I didn't even think about cars.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I guess with cars, they've got their own SIM card in them. Yeah. Or do you have to? You don't have to connect to one.
Yeah, but you usually have to pay for it. Well, it depends on the brand, I guess.
I've got a dumb car. My car, luckily, doesn't have internet connection in it. But I heard that GM, they're scrapping out Apple CarPlay, and they're wanting to build their own system.
Yeah, because that'll go great. The problem with traditional manufacturers is they just don't understand infotainment systems. They never have, and I feel like they never will, Because even when
No.
they use Apple CarPlay, they give you the worst possible CPU and stuff, so everything just feels clunky anyway. And it's like, what? Just don't even give me an infotainment system at this point.
So going back to this story here, the social media ban. So basically, people under 16 are not going to be allowed to use, Facebook, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, and even the parents, they can't say, we're going to allow our children to do this. We're going to say it's okay. No, it's a blanket ban. So if it's a blanket ban, and also companies are going to be fined up to 50 million Australian dollars if they don't basically stop children from being able to go on these platforms. So
what is $50 million dues in American dollars? Like 1 million?
I think an Australian dollar is about 40 cents US. I'm probably totally wrong.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking million. I was like, wow, that's even worse than what I said. Yeah, okay.
No, I'm not talking Zimbabwe dollars.
Okay.
No, so $1 I think is about 40 Australian cents. I think I might be wrong, but so basically, obviously, if that's the case, then everyone in Australia, they must be kind of using one of those things, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, something they're going to be using. So that means that everyone in Australia is going to have to prove that they're over 16. So this is another UK thing. And is it going to be kind of biometrical facial scans and this kind of thing? This to me is kind of all linking into the same kind of thing that I was talking about. And that's why I'm kind of saying, the UK is doing this. We're losing the freedom on the internet. And, who's putting these people in charge to say that these things can happen? It's just a dystopian age verification system. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out and whether other countries follow suit,
So, it's interesting. Well, so one thing that surprised me with this ban is that even parents couldn't give consent to their children, which is a first if I've ever seen it. But what's more interesting too, so like YouTube, they have a YouTube Kids app, so it's a completely separate application to watch YouTube.
That's
I think
okay.
For now, that's okay for now. But
excluded.
I think, yeah, currently. But I think YouTube actually is getting rid of that app, the YouTube Kids app. YouTube Kids app. I'm looking this up right now. I think they're getting rid of it because my kid, he has the YouTube Kids app, to watch like Blippi and other things. But I think they're getting rid of it. And I was like, wait. You want me to put YouTube, the app, on his iPad where I have to sign into it? And then and he's smart enough to just switch profiles. And so if he just switches profiles, he has full access to YouTube, right? YouTube's Kid app going away. It's being discontinued on smart TVs. It says on July 2024, but his Kids app is still working right now.
But also, I don't know how they're going to do it with YouTube because you don't even have to sign into YouTube to watch YouTube. Do you think they're going to make it that everyone has to sign in Australia, and then maybe that will be rolled out because you can go without signing in and watch things, So,
well, I mean,
that
you can't really watch anything except ads, really, if you're not on YouTube. So,
Brave browser.
But in all seriousness, I don't know how that would work. I think YouTube does have like a rating system, because so you're a content creator, right? And it's like, hey, who is the target audience for this, right? So you can say kids or not kids or 18 plus. So I don't know what happens when you specifically target kids, but I think there's like age groups in there as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe how they do it by default. But actually, no, because then if you're not signed in, then how would YouTube know? Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Ed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see. I just see the internet as kind of like literally being, squeezed, and we're losing a lot of the freedom we have and the anonymity. I think I'm saying that correctly. And the next story basically kind of ties into that a little bit. Stefano, remember an Android was supposed to be the open alternative to Apple's walled garden? Well, now Google's busy building its own wall, but they've just painted open source on it in little tiny letters. Because Google plans to introduce a mandatory developer verification requirement in 2026. And the worry is this could genuinely spell the end of F-Droid and other open source app stores. The new rules would require all Android developers to register with Google, pay a fee, and submit government ID. So, what F-Droid is saying is like they can't just ask all of their developers to literally prove who they are, because a lot of open source developers, they don't want, they don't want to, they want to be anonymous, and obviously F-Droid can't kind of take over all of the projects, of these things. So, is this going to be the end of F-Droid? And
so it's kind of funny. Okay, imagine right now if Bitcoin mining and a Bitcoin mining app for your phone had just come out, and Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to be anonymous and non-existent, and basically just be out of. He wanted to be anonymous, right? So would Bitcoin be allowed today on Google?
Yeah, that's a good point. No, it wouldn't, would it?
It's funny how certain things like Bitcoin you can remain relatively anonymous on, and that's acceptable because it has like a monetary value. But God forbid there's some open source app that lets you do something ad free or whatever on somebody else's phone. So this goes back. You don't own anything.
You don't, a phone is just a computer, and Lewis Rossman says it a lot. A phone is a computer. In your pocket. Like, why does anyone get to choose what software you can install on it? It belongs to me, not to Apple or Google. And it's only a matter of time probably before, desktop computers would be, oh, you can't install that. On Apple, it's getting harder to install things that aren't kind of signed and that kind of thing. But
at least on Apple, if you're like, hey, delete this application, every time there's an update, they don't just like put it back on your desktop anyway.
Yeah. That's very true.
And and speaking of which, okay, so I don't know if this is 100% valid. This is my fault. I should have looked it up first. I didn't know we'd talk about this, but this recently became on my radar. So allegedly, conspiracy hat time. Allegedly, Internet Explorer is still in your operating system, but it's so well hidden that the only way to know that it's truly there is if you install like data center, like let's say Windows Data Center 2022. And when you open up Edge, it's actually Internet Explorer, but in a sandbox. So it's still using Internet Explorer, and you're not actually using Microsoft Edge.
I love that.
Have you heard this? Do you know if this is true?
I don't know, but I haven't heard it being called Internet Explorer before, and I actually love that.
Really? Yeah, no, you want to blow up your Windows PC, use Internet Explorer.
That's such a cool word. But no, all of this, Google trying to kind of make a walled garden and have this, it's really sad. Like, that's why, I guess, use Graphene OS. If you want to use Android.
How long is Graphene OS going to be allowed to be installed on your phone?
Yeah, that's true. We don't know if Google could make it so in future Pixels it can't be. But talking about, I want to go and talk about ads again, because I was listening to a Lewis Rossman video today. I was in the car, so I'm not sure if it was a recent video or an old one, but he was talking about something called ad nauseum. Have you heard of ad nauseum?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
It's a blocker. It's an ad blocker, okay? But what it does is it blocks the ads so you can't see them, but also it clicks on every single ad on the page or whatever you go to in order to mess with the kind of advertisers. So it messes up their business model basically, because every single ad gets clicked on and it's never followed through. So the more people that use it, it will kind of mess with advertising. And Lewis Rossman was saying he thinks it's great because if you de-incentivize people to have targeted ads, maybe they won't pay. Maybe they won't pay to kind of use targeted ads. But ad nauseum, I'd never heard of it before. I haven't ever tried it, but I thought that was an interesting ad blocker, how it tries to actually mess with the advertising companies as well, because they always want you to click on the ad. So this basically does it for you, but you just don't see any of it. So obviously you need the bandwidth to do it, because it will be using bandwidth. Yeah. So moving on to our next topic. This is a big one. OpenAI and Broadcom announce a 10 gigawatt custom AI chip deal. So OpenAI and Broadcom have announced a massive deal for 10 gigawatts worth of custom AI accelerators. So to put that in perspective, that's enough electricity to power a couple of large cities, not small towns, proper cities. So, isn't it funny that it's fine for AI to use lots of electricity, but Bitcoin was meant to be the most evil thing in the world because it used a fraction of the amount that AI does. But
well, Bitcoin's not evil anymore because now it's making people money. It's a investment. That's something you'll add to your investment portfolio to round it out. So
yeah,
it's acceptable.
But
what's really funny about this actual announcement is so I think Broadcom, personally, my experience with Broadcom has always been very negative. And so I imagine that when Broadcom chips start rolling out, they'll be like, oh yeah, we have this AI chip for, whatever, but it doesn't come with this feature because you didn't buy the super massive ultra version of it. Whereas like a lot of and I specifically am talking about like network cards. So like Broadcom network cards, they'll typically just omit certain network features. And whereas like if you buy from Intel typically has almost all the features available to their network adapters.
Yeah. So, with this deal, like OpenAI are going to design the chips, Broadcom will build and deploy them, with the rollout starting, I think it's in late 2026. This is part of OpenAI's strategy to control its AI hardware stack. And if, like what I was saying earlier, is it seems now that it's not the algorithms being improved, it's the infrastructure, the power, the hardware, etc. So they're building these more powerful models without being entirely dependent on NVIDIA. Which, unlike Stefano's 2090, which pulls 450 watts to run Tarkov at medium settings, this actually requires a serious power infrastructure. So,
excuse me, I think you mean 4090.
What did I say? 3090, did I?
2090.
Oh, 2090. God, yeah, 4090.
So all these data, all these data centers that are getting built. Is this the reason why RAM is on having a shortage right now?
Yep. Basically, oh God, don't talk about RAM. Crazy prices, man. Absolutely insane prices. Yeah. AI is pushing up the price of RAM, and just look at that. This here, £200 for a 32 gig stick of basically laptop DDR5 RAM. I bought this for a little micro PC about 12 months ago. I think I paid £70. So it's gone up quite a lot. So let's see how much it is at Amazon here. Oh, okay, not quite so much. So £125, but still I bought it for 70.
All right, yeah. Take that link and punch it in camel. I wanna see some history here.
Okay, let me try that. This is a website I've not used, Stefano.
You haven't used camel. Oh my God.
Oh God, where the hell is the website?
All the ads being served to you first. It's just camel.com.
Okay.
It's better to just use AI to find the websites you want versus just Google searching. Remember how before Google existed and you had to know somebody who knew like a forum to find information you were looking for? We're kind of getting back to that.
So there we've
All
got
right,
the
yeah, look at
price
that price
history there. Look at that bit there. That line goes straight up.
It does.
Yeah, there we are. Look, that must have been the price I bought it at about here, £70, and it's gone straight up to 126.
So that's
over. Okay, so it's been high for a month. Yeah, so just before the beginning of October, it just rocketed up.
That's pretty good timing.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
And I think the price is actually getting close back to MSRP, because when you had it on all, I bet that the price that they had listed there was like when it hit the market back there in November on the far left.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably when it released.
That is crazy. Next, when it released here, look, looks like it was 95, then it went up in November of last year. This might not have been the actual stick I bought, to be honest, but it was a 32
It may not be,
stick.
and that's why I like pasting the link. Well, that one says it's 32 gigs. Pasting the link is always like good, or you can also just use the search function there to find like a similar product.
That's a really cool website. I really like that, Stefano. Thank you for showing me that.
It's significantly so. Everyone was raving about Honey and those other price trackers, but it was silly to me because Honey's not showing you the full price history of a product, right? And so I've been using Camel probably for maybe nearly 10 years now, and everyone's like, "Oh, Honey." Is like, you are all idiots for using this, because even Honey is not showing you the true price. And so when you have the full price history of a product, you can very clearly, easily tell if it's a good deal or not. And so this tool alone has probably saved me, I don't know, hundreds of dollars on Black Friday.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because of ads.
Seriously, like AI, it's kind of messing up quite a lot of things, isn't it, really? Like, as I say, I've got a love-hate relationship with AI. I love using AI. It's such a cool tool. I use it in a lot of my videos. I use it for music. I use Suno for making music for my videos, because I used to.
I heard you like making very sensual music for your YouTube videos. Did you see that post on Reddit?
I didn't know.
Oh, dude, somebody posted on Reddit. Whoa, the Unraid 7.2 introduction was a very sensual song. And I was like, what? So I had to go back and re-listen to the intro. And I was like, at what point is this at all sensual? And I was like, it's a woman singing? Is that just because it's a woman singing that makes it I don't know. It was strange.
Yeah, but I love using Suno. The reason being is because I used to use these kind of services where you pay like kind of $250 a year, and you've got a whole category of music that you're allowed to use that they say is copyright free. I was using that, and suddenly I'd like come up with like a copyright thing, and then I'd have to like paste in to say, and I thought I just can't be bothered with that anymore. And Suno, to be able to just make music that has absolutely no copyright and is only mine, it's just a far better thing. And any content creators out there who are listening, use Suno. I think it's about $10 a month. You can make your own tunes in the style you want, and you can use them in all of your YouTube videos, and you're not going to get any aggro from YouTube about it. So I really
speaking
like
of music, so you know how like the music creator on studio, or like on YouTube creator app, right? You have studio.youtube.com or whatever it is. So they have an AI integration now where you can also like prompt it to make music.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But that's besides the point.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's It's okay. I haven't really explored using AI for music yet, but that's kind of besides the point. I actually wanted to give some kudos to YouTube. Oh, it's the end of the world, Ed. Me actually
I never thought
saying
I'd ever
that,
hear you
YouTube
say
did
that,
something right.
Stefano. Are you okay today?
Yeah, I'm fine. There's not a YouTube overlord behind the door behind me, and
Yeah.
everything is great.
You know,
But no, it's
blink, blink,
go ahead.
blink if you're being forced to say this, Stefano.
Everything is great. But in all seriousness, so the music part, you know how like you can like I don't know if you've used YouTube Music for any of your videos in the past, but remember when they switched to like now you can actually pay the creators through YouTube Music to use the music they made, and they started adding licensing models and all that stuff. Remember that?
I don't,
The
to be
one thing that I
honest.
think they did good. Oh, okay, okay. Well, the one thing I think they did good was all of your old videos that had that license or that had that music license free. If the creator of that wanted to now force you to have a license or ask, to be paid for their work, if it was already done on a previous video, you don't have to pay them a royalty or do anything. It's still free. But
Oh
moving
yeah.
forward, you do have to pay them. And that was like, wow, thank you for not like ruining potentially hundreds of videos on YouTube, because now
Oh yeah.
like I don't have to. It's not that I don't want to pay these creators, right? It just wasn't a thing back then. Like it was just free music, so we're just using it.
Mm.
And so it's cool that we don't have to worry about suddenly, oh, thousands of dollars from all these old videos that use this one particular song now have to be attributed to the creator. And so that's you didn't hear of it because it's not a problem.
Talking about music.
Okay. Eric was like, be careful, don't let the AI copyright your music. You're gonna get a copyright strike because AI is like, hey, I've heard that
Yeah.
song before because that's part of my model.
Yeah. Damn it. Anyway, talking about AI music, our next story is about Spotify. And Spotify partners with record labels to create artist-first AI music products. So Spotify's teaming up with major record labels like Sony, Universal, and Warner to build AI tools, which what they're calling an artist-first approach. They've laid out principles to guide the work, ensuring that artists have a choice in participation and are fairly compensated. So from what I understand, this will allow people to kind of like have some music and they can kind of remix it in the artist's voice if they've participated into it. I don't think you're going to be able to actually kind of say, hey, Spotify Music AI, make me another Tupac song with these words, because he hasn't opted in because he's dead. So it's only meant to be artists that have opted in. But how I look at it is, what fun is that to be able to say, create some music and then not be able to share it? So how are they going to do that? Like, and if they say you can kind of share it into Spotify, there's going to be a million remixes of certain songs, and it's going to just, how are you going to find what you want to listen to? I don't really know how they're going to deal with that. But I might have this all
music's
wrong.
kind of already become that way.
Yeah, but imagine there's like a song
opinion.
and it's got like 5,000 remixes of it, and you're doing a search for a song, and it just I don't know. And
it's funny that
then,
they're like, oh, this is not supposed to replace humans, but it's like, well, if you don't want to risk replacing people in the first place, then maybe you should just not allow AI on the platform.
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard of the story about, the anecdote about boiling a frog in a pot of water? Put it in a pot of water when it's cold, and you start boiling it, the frog won't get out. You put the frog into a pot of water that's hot, it will jump out. So basically, it gets accustomed to it. So this is the first step, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with like every streaming service or every service, right? It's like, oh yeah, it's $5. Now it's $10. Now we have different tiers, and the lowest tier is cheaper, but it has ads. And eventually, all tiers have ads, and you're still paying lots of money for like 4K or whatever. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same principle.
Yeah, Spotify is saying they're quite clear that these tools are intended to enhance creativity and not replace human artists, but we will just be cautiously optimistic, but very, very skeptical.
Yep, very skeptical.
I'm going to move on to the next story here. I'm not even going to bother stopping sharing my screen for a moment. This one's particularly interesting to me because it's in the UK. Waymo is bringing its fully autonomous ride-hailing service to London in 2026. Yay! Which is marking its first international expansion, and they're going to be using the Jaguar I-Paces on London streets in the coming weeks, but they're going to have, I think, human safety drivers on board for now, so that'll be a bit boring. I will wait until they no longer have them, then I can try out being driven around by AI. What could possibly go wrong, hey?
I don't know. It's go ahead.
I was going to say the interesting bit, I think, is like London. It's going to be properly challenging for self-driving cars because you guys in the States, you've got very nice kind of like grid cities and everything's, you know, the roads are like really decent, but we've got very narrow streets. The roads are larger. Windy. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see, you know, how many people Waymo managed to unalive during the trials or when the human drivers leave the cars.
I think honestly they'll probably just end up causing more traffic in the cities just because they err on the side of just stopping right there and putting their hazards on and not moving. I mean, I don't have any personal experience. I will have my first Waymo experience in December. So that will be fun. So we could talk about that if you see. Oh, yours is in 2026. Yeah, we could talk about our experiences. What I'm most interested in is, so like I came to visit you, right? And while I was there, we stopped in London. The number of taxi services is insane there. I love it. I mean, it's great because you can basically just hail a taxi at any point, at any time of day, and it's fast. There's like, I feel like there's some sort of taxi service on every corner. So I wonder how disruptive, if at all, Waymo is going to be, or like maybe these like tax companies that have all of these drivers are just going to maybe flip over immediately and get rid of all their paid drivers. Like I want to know how this is going to work.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
And have you heard as well, like I can't remember who it is, but it might be Amazon. They've got some kind of like system where it records the person when they get out of the car. They've got some sort of heads up display, and it's not turned on while they're driving the van because they say it's going to be too distracting. But what it does is when they get out of the van, it gives them a heads up display and guides them how to get to the house where they're delivering the parcels, and then uses that data. And people are thinking that data is going to be used in order for fully autonomous deliveries using, you know, some kind of AI stuff, because the actual routes will be, the data will be there from the drivers getting out of the car and going up to the houses and into the apartments and that kind of thing. So they'll have all of that data, which they wouldn't have.
That seems kind of silly.
So anyway,
do you think there's going to be a war between the black taxis and then the white Waymo cars?
It wouldn't surprise me. Because I'm sure. Have you ever heard of the Blade Runners in London?
No.
So the Blade Runners, for you guys over in the States, we have things in London and other places in the UK whereby you have like cameras, and if you go into certain areas of London, you have to pay a congestion charge. And another bit like emissions, they say, oh, your car produces too much CO2 or something, and you literally you just get kind of, you have to pay like I don't know, £20 or something. I'm not sure how much it is for that day. And so obviously if you kind of work in a certain area and things like that, it ends up being very expensive. And it was brought into London, and they spent millions of pounds putting up all of these cameras, and there's a group called the Blade Runners, and they go and cut them down.
Nice.
And so when you say, will the black cab drivers fight the Waymo, I say, it wouldn't surprise me. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. No, funny. So when I came to visit you, that was a surprising thing. The whole fees for I guess like cars that pollute more, whatever. But I remember you're like, oh, we're not going to go down this street because I don't want to risk getting fined. So you went like a longer route, and it's like,
and did more pollution. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, like it's like that's how the government is though. They don't think about that stuff. They're like quick to implement things. And they're like, well, what happens? What are the second and third order effects of doing this thing? And inevitably it just make it worse by making people do
but also
like, it's like,
how does paying for it stop the pollution? It doesn't. The pollution's still there, but you're just paying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's silly.
And that brings me back to AI with like, 10 gigawatts and these kind of like, power stations that AI companies are going to be building. Isn't Meta building some kind of power station?
Yeah, allegedly, I think that's in the works, centers? Or maybe acquiring an existing acquiring existing nuclear power plants. And it's funny too. Like
I really want Meta to run nuclear power stations. I think that would be great. Let's hope that they're kind of like
it's probably the future. It literally might be the future.
Yeah,
it's funny when EVs became all the rage, and then power companies like, oh, we have to charge more money because now more people have EVs and the infrastructure can't support it. And then suddenly it's like these data centers are popping up everywhere with even more massive amounts of power, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is fine.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, it is actually driving up costs, and guess who gets to pay for it? I do. Hooray!
Anyways, let's move on to our next story, which is a bit more funny, I think. Well, not funny for the person who actually did it, but so Samsung Galaxy Ring battery swelling incident leads to someone having to go to hospital. A tech influencer reported a scary incident where his Samsung Galaxy Ring's battery swelled, and it basically trapped the device on his finger, and he had to go to hospital to remove it. So I had to actually look up what the Samsung Galaxy Ring actually was and why would anyone want a smart ring, and apparently it's tracks your heartbeat and it's like a kind of fitness thing, but it seems pretty pointless to me. I'm not sure what your thoughts are about it, Stefano, but
it seems pointless to me too. I have no interest in that kind of technology. I got a finger right here and I can check my pulse, and that's all I need to be able to do. It's super simple.
I can see someone, wearing a smart watch, but a smart ring. Come on, it's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you got to consume. We need to have consumer things for people to buy.
Yeah, that's very true. Hang on one moment.
Now, is it cool? Yeah, it's cool. I wouldn't. I mean, the problem with it is it's just e-waste is my real problem with it. Like they do just enough to make it marketable, and then the next one comes out and it's slightly better, and then everyone's like, well, this one actually works better and actually is better, and then it's like, it's just e-waste, man.
But batteries, lithium batteries, they're a pretty big problem. There's been cases of them catching fire in phones and people's pockets and stuff. Just and with this ring, apparently what Samsung said about it is it's extremely rare, and basically pointed people to the kind of safety documentation. And the safety documentation says if you need to cut it off, you have to cut it. They've got a little mark somewhere on the ring, and you should only cut it in that particular place, because if you cut it in the battery, it can cause the battery to explode. So I think, why would you put something?
At least they did that. At least they did.
Yeah, but who reads the safety instructions on these things? I don't think many people do.
No, I wouldn't.
But it made me quite worried because I recently bought my dog a tracker.
Oh yeah,
on the collar.
Poor Shadow.
I was thinking, like, it's actually quite worrying me about the battery. Thinking, because I was charging up the battery and it getting to 100%. I was thinking, imagine if the battery went wrong on her, and kind of burnt. It would be pretty bad.
Yeah, that would be bad for Shadow.
Yeah.
So Tyson kind of brought this up. I didn't see this in chat until just now, but so I guess in Utah. So due to all the new data centers being built in Eagle Mountain, Utah, I knew another Eagle Mountain once. They are now thinking of building a nuclear reactor there to provide power for those new data centers. I asked him if they're state owned or if they're he says, okay, so he just responded. He doesn't know, but they have some friends running up new Meta data centers, and later when Google starts building their own data center. If they're state controlled, that's good because then the state can make some money. But if they're owned by like the actual Google or Meta, then that's probably not.
Well,
that
the
good.
thing is, I just don't trust any power station run by people like Google or Meta because they're going to cut corners to save money. And the corner cutting will be safety. Oh, the AI can just run the nuclear power station. We don't need any people there at all. And what could possibly go wrong, hey?
I mean, I don't know.
Mark Zuckerberg running.
There's possibility.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And
you don't have any. So to go back to the wearable tech, you don't have any wearable tech, do you?
None
like
at all, to be honest. No.
Yeah,
my wife has an Apple Watch, but I don't know.
I get very close almost every year to getting an Apple Watch and stuff, but then I'm like, I don't know, it just seems frivolous.
Yeah,
the technology, it is really cool. I love the idea of having one, but then at the end of the day, I'm just like, man, it's just gonna become e-waste, and then I'm gonna feel bad about like trying to recycle it or give it away or sell it, and I can't bring myself to actually purchase one.
Aaron Good Times in the chat, he's just made a comment, just installed Unraid for the first time. Welcome to Unraid. Best of luck with your server. And he says he's going through your videos for instruction on how to set up a ZFS RAID Z2 pool or array. Not sure which to look at. I don't know if I've got a video on actually setting that up, but yeah, basically just add a new pool in Unraid, choose how many slots you need. So obviously 2 parity, and then how many data drives you want. Add them in, set it to ZFS. I'd recommend enabling compression. You'll probably have faster read and write speeds enabling compression than if you didn't, because it's quicker to read off spinning Rust drives, compress data and decompress it in the CPU than read the larger amount of compressed data and the larger amount of uncompressed data off the drives. And obviously you will be able to fit more on your disks. So it's very easy to set up, but on the Uncast channel, I think these kind of videos, they'd be good for new users like you, Aaron. And I will put it in my notes of future videos to create and make some videos about setting up various different Unraid storage options.
Speaking of Unraid storage options, so Eric asked this question earlier, if Unraid will ever be able to be installed on eMMC or external SSDs.
Yes. I'm not going to say any more than that, but yes, I think, we have announced, I think last summer, that we are developing internal boot. So the answer is yes.
He asked that question like an hour ago.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
he's probably not even here anymore, but you know what? I tried.
Yeah. It's your job to read the comments. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, Stefano. So you have to do these jobs.
Well, it's you were on a tirade today about all these different platforms. I didn't want to interrupt you. And Eric's still here, so boom.
Okay, cool. So you were talking about earlier on the Samsung fridge and stuff and ads.
Yes.
Wow, we've got something
one.
else like that. No, but to be honest, I'm moving house at the moment, and I've got like a big fridge freezer here, an LG one, and the people ask if they could buy it, like, as you know, when they buy the house as well. And I said yes. And now I've actually changed my mind. I'm thinking, no, I don't want to buy a new fridge freezer because I don't want it to be internet connectable and have ads or anything like that. I think I'm going to keep the one I've got. But anyway,
Yeah.
talking about
Good
ads
call.
anyway, is lock screen ads are coming to smartphones, and there's a brand called Nothing. And so there we are, you know, because, you know, who doesn't want an ad when they're just checking their phone for the time, you know? Yeah, perfect. So
The
yeah,
precedence this will set.
it is pretty scary, you know. They call it lock glimpse. Yeah, I love it how they kind of make these special words that makes it sound like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Lock glimpse. It's just a little glimpse of an ad. You know, it's not going to, you know, come into your life much. But the feature shows rotating wallpapers with links to ad-filled articles, and is built by default for the phone 3A Lite, apparently. Motorola is partnering with Taboola to push ads through the system app, and both companies claim this helps subsidize the cost of the hardware. You know, that's always the
That's what
excuse.
the argument always is. That's always the argument.
You know, I would rather pay more for the hardware or buy a secondhand phone. So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
you're going to
crazy
do
with
that,
all
but
of
it's
these
only a
ads.
matter of time before other companies follow along. I mean, because like so iPhone, they just I don't know if it's recent, but it's new to me. So I got the iPhone 17, and now I have the always on display. You can obviously turn it off, but now that that's becoming such a commonality, I can totally see adverts becoming the next thing for these always on displays.
Yeah, definitely. You know, they say that you can disable a feature on most devices with these phones, but for me, it's a worrying trend for user experience and privacy. You know, today it's optional, tomorrow maybe it won't be. It's,
Yeah,
you know,
and
to me,
then the
it's
day after,
classic
it's
and
you have to opt out.
yeah, classic and shitification, really. You know, start with this, you know, the ads on budget models, and then it gradually over time expands upwards, slowly boiling the frog, as I was saying. But, you know, all of this as
Yep.
well, like at the same time when Google say you can't, you know, sort of sideload things in, it just seems everything, you know, is, you know, the tech landscape's changing, and, you know, a lot of people are trying to control what we do with our tech, which I think is a shame. Anyway, we've only got one story left, as we have been going on for quite a long time, and I think this is one of your stories, Stefano, that you sent me a message about earlier in the week. And let me change what I'm sharing.
This one hits near and dear to my heart,
So let me change
and it
screen,
makes me
and
sad.
I will let you talk about this one. Damn it, I've got too many windows open. I'm sorry, everyone. So I've got the YouTube window open, checking the stream, and it looks exactly the same as the...
I can start talking about it while you look for it, if you like.
There we are. So,
Yeah.
Jamf to go private following a 2.2 billion acquisition by Francisco Partners, who are a private equity firm. Go for it, Stefano. Tell us all about it, man.
Yeah, so everyone knows private equity is generally not a good thing, because a private equity firm, you know, buys into like a company, and then they basically squeeze every possible dollar out of it. Jamf is a great tool to manage MacBook operating systems in a professional environment. Where
Right.
I work, we use it. It's fantastic. And it's kind of scary, because now that this private equity firm has bought it, it's like, how long do we have until Jamf becomes a terrible product? And I don't know if anybody out there has tried to manage an Apple product. It's not fun. especially when you have to adhere to very specific security requirements. And so there are other tools that exist, but then so part of the problem is like these tools may not support. Have you ever heard of GCC moderate or high, Ed?
I haven't, Stefano. No, what's that?
So basically, let's say that you want to have your your endpoints and to have access to like a GCC moderate or GCC high cloud infrastructure. Um, so that's basically a protection level, right? GCC medium or high, and so a lot of applications don't support GCC moderate or GCC high. And so Jamf is one of the few tools that actually supports like things like FedRAMP, GCC high, or GovCloud, or any kind of nature of those things, any nature or any protection levels like that. And not a lot of the other ones do. And so, with private equity taking over probably the best tool for managing Mac OS, Intune is not the answer, by the way. This product could literally just enshittify, and for what? Like
You gotta,
I'm glad that the owners of Jamf have made a lot of money during this acquisition, but it's going to leave basically everyone that uses this product, holding this bag. And Jamf is great for high security environments. And so, now like our company specifically is like, what are we going to do? What else is out there? There's no other product that supports like a high security environment. So it's like, it's just sad, man. Like I've been let down for the last 15 years by every product except for Steam. And it's just like, I'm not excited about technology anymore because everything just goes sour. Literally everything. And when Gabe Newell dies, our Lord and Savior, I'm scared, man. I'm just scared what happens to Steam.
Yeah. Didn't I hear they bought it for about 50% more than what the share price was or something? Like they paid quite a premium for it, didn't they?
Yeah, so I don't know what the share price was, but yeah, $2.2 billion.
So I heard it was like 50% above valuation. You got to ask yourself why they would pay 50% above. I think they kind of realized that, because a lot of kind of governments and companies are shifting to Apple, aren't they? And I think they realized that it's kind of quite undervalued maybe. And so they were happy to pay that, thinking.
I think they got it at a steal. I think Jamf sold too early because like you alluded to, at least in the United States' government is going through this entire higher security posture. And so things like FIPS are becoming a hard requirement. And so the FIPS module basically enforces that you use secure or the latest cryptography when establishing connections between devices, or even like BitLocker, you're using like AES 512 or something. And so FIPS is a forcing function that makes sure that you use the latest cryptography. And so there's not a lot of tools out there that can support these higher security environments. And so I think Jamf being acquired by Francisco Partners was done at the right time. They have the potential to make a lot of money because as Apple continues to gain share in the endpoint space for companies, there's no other tool that can compete with Jamf at this point. And so
there's nothing else at all, Stefano, at all?
There are other tools, yes, but not for high security environments, right? So like I think Mosley, I don't know how to say it, is another tool. But as far as I'm aware, they don't support FedRAMP. They don't support GCC high. They don't support GCC moderate even, or medium, whatever it's called. So you don't really have a lot of options. I think that Francisco Partners made out like bandits on this one, especially as security requirements continue to be heightened in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, the track record of private equity acquisitions in tech, it's not exactly reassuring, is it? So
No, not at all.
hopefully
I do like that
they
Mac
won't cut
OS is
costs and
becoming
raise
more prevalent,
prices.
though.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, like, hopefully they won't just cut costs and raise prices. But
they likely will. And
Mhm.
and because Jamf is a very unique tool that supports all these different high security environments, that's likely what's going to happen. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, where else are you going to go? It's like VMware, right? When VMware
Mhm.
dominated the enterprise market, and then they changed their pricing model after the Broadcom takeover, where was everyone going to go? There's no
Yeah.
other tool that can compete with VMware.
Yeah.
At
Well,
least
I guess
at
we'll have
large
to see how
enterprise
it
scale,
plays
anyway.
out. We'll have to see how it plays
Yeah.
out with that. But I'm pretty skeptical about it.
I'm very skeptical.
Anyway, that is our last topic to speak about. But I just want to remind everyone, check out the new Unraid merch. Don't forget to check out the Black Friday sale coming up.
Look what finally arrived.
Oh, hang on. I have to actually stop sharing the screen so I can actually see that. Oh, you've got your candle. Stefano's got his Unraid candle.
Yeah. I ordered it back in August. It arrived 2 weeks ago?
Nice. Did you get
I have an entire story about this.
You got 2 candles, did you?
If you
did
want
you
to
get
hear
the
it.
2? Yeah, go on, tell me about it.
No, I did not get 2. I got 1. I bought 2, but I only got 1.
Have you lit it yet?
I gotta tell you this. I gotta get this off my chest, okay?
Mhm.
All right, so back in August, you're like, hey, let's buy these candles. We can smell them, talk about them, see what they're like. It just smells like wax, which has no smell. Anyway, that's the point. So I ordered a hoodie, these candles, and maybe a t-shirt. And my order was partially delivered, okay? And so my mailbox is actually a locker. And so it can fit a ton of stuff inside. So the United States Postal Service was like, hey, yeah, we tried to deliver it, but there was but we were unsuccessful or something to that effect. I was like, hang on a second. My hoodie arrived. My shirt arrived. They were in the locker. There's plenty of space for these candles. Why didn't you just put them in there? Or why didn't you just, I don't know, bring it to my house? Well, of course, they're lazy. So that started this whole problem. All right. So they get sent back allegedly to sender. So I reached out to Unraid, or not, maybe not Unraid, but to the merchandise seller that acts on behalf of Unraid, their support team. And I'm like, hey, this didn't arrive. They're like, okay, that's not a problem. We're willing to help you out. But first, you have to wait 2 weeks for when these candles return to their warehouse. 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, I can be patient. 2 weeks, not a big deal. These things happen. I think 2.5 weeks go by. I'm like, hey, these things don't even look like they arrived to your warehouse yet. Can I please just get, these things reordered? And I don't remember exactly why, but they made me wait 3 more weeks before they were willing to put a reorder in. So I waited 3 more weeks, and then finally they put a reorder in. And then, of course, it takes, with the store, that it's not 2-day shipping, right? So I had to wait another week and a half for it to actually be delivered. And it came, but only one of them came. So I reached back out to support and I was like, hey, I only got one of my candles. Where's the other one? And they're like, oh, sorry, there was a mix up. We'll send you out another one. And as far as I don't have a shipping notification yet, or even like a label for it yet, but as far as I'm aware, within the next 1 to 2 weeks, I'll finally get both candles. And since I know that I'm getting a second candle, I actually did burn this one, by the way. I don't know if you can see that very well.
I was hoping it was going to smell of fresh motherboards or something, or circuits.
Oh man, that would have been great. Fresh electronics would have been great. No, it doesn't have a smell, unfortunately. It's very neutral.
Yeah.
Which I guess is safe for everyone. I'm thinking about maybe just taking this to work, and then when I'm sitting in the server room with all the lights off, just have this one candle going.
would they let you play with fire? Would they, Stefano? Wow.
Actually, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. The fire might trigger the O2 sensor thing or whatever it is, and then I'll suffocate to death in the server room. Because there won't be any oxygen.
Stefano can't make it this month. He's died from lighting a candle in the server room.
That would actually be sad, I think.
It would be very sad. I'd be very unhappy, Stefano. Please don't do that.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I didn't think about that until now.
Anyway, guys, that wraps it up for this month. We've covered Unraid updates, some concerning security and privacy updates, regulatory chaos on both sides of the Atlantic. And if you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe. And if you haven't already, we'll wait to see you next time. And thanks for listening, everyone. Appreciate you spending your Saturday with us. I'm trying to do my outro music.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye. Hearts in chat. Thank you.